all of the things that we think about.
Conscious practice. What's conscious? This is V, and today I'll be responding to Oprah's video on what is Hinduism. This will be super interesting, and it's really cool to see that Oprah has a very spiritual interest. My name is V, I'm an aspiring yogi, love all things meditation, yoga, and wisdom based. And with that, let's get into the video.
Hinduism is the ancient religion of India. It's the third largest religion in the world with over 1 billion followers. And the majority of Hindus do live in India, which is the only Hindu majority country in the world. For many people, it's very difficult to understand what Hinduism is, because in so many ways, it is more like a disorganized religion than an organized religion. Hinduism has no founder. It has no common language, no common deity, no common scripture, no common ritual. All of the things that we think about when we think about bounded, organized religion. Most Hindus would believe that we all have a soul, and that soul is a reflection of God. So that individual soul that we all possess means that our natures are inherently divine, that we can know God by going inside of ourselves. For Hindus, the soul is reincarnated over many lifetimes, and the goal of Hindu life is to achieve liberation from the cycle of rebirth, liberation from the cycle of suffering. For Hindus, it's not just that humans have a soul, but all sentient beings have a soul, including animals. So in India, one will see the multiplicity of depictions of the divine. You will see the divine represented in animal form, for example. One way to think about this notion of our souls being inherently divine is through the Hindu greeting of Namaste, which is a traditional greeting in India. And it literally means the divinity within me acknowledges and salutes the divinity within you. So in this simple greeting, we see a core Hindu theological belief that's articulated. In the most ancient Hindu text, the Rig Veda, there is a verse that says, God is one, but the wise call God by many names. Or truth is one, but the wise call truth by many names. So built right into the heart of the tradition is this notion of pluralism. There is no way to convert to Hinduism. It's different strokes for different folks. When I was growing up as a Hindu, my parents would tell me there are many paths up the mountain, but they're all leading to the same place. And so at its core, Hinduism has a great deal of respect for the other world religious traditions and recognizes them as equally legitimate paths to understanding ourselves and understanding God.
Alrighty, so this is very interesting for sure. Really grateful that Oprah is sharing and really just helping to spread awareness to Hinduism, which I would say for the most part I definitely connected with the video itself, in the lens that it was trying to, at a very high level, and I think there were definitely oversimplifications and overgeneralizations, but I definitely think in this literally 2-minute video, the guy that spoke about it did a pretty decent job. Now it is interesting because pre my spiritual path and now that I'm in the spiritual path, I definitely have two different views, and I would definitely say pre-spiritual path, I definitely would have probably agreed 99% with what he said. However, now, especially because of the fact that I do closely follow Sadhguru and I do a lot of the Isha practices, I've come to realize that there are definitely subtle, but I would say profound differences with what people think of Hinduism and what they know of what Hinduism really is. The first is to realize that, and these are things that I've heard, some of them, so sharing that and prefacing with that, it's the idea that everyone east of the Indus River were essentially known and were referred to as the Sindhus, and I think it was called the Sindh River, actually. Supposedly, again, I don't know if this is true exactly to the dot, but the Persians who couldn't say S back then in their, I think, language of the time, made it H. So essentially the Hindus from Sindhus. And I guess that's how the Sindhu River Valley became turned into the Indus River Valley, whatever, exact etymological origins are there for that part. But that's the first thing. The second thing is that because it's honestly, as I just mentioned to you, a geographical label, it really isn't a religion. As he says it in a way, it's actually very decentralized, number one. Number two, as Sadhguru calls it, it's actually a land of not believers, but seekers. You see, belief itself is a very sort of imported concept. There is definitely a term that could be similar, which is devotion, but that's a whole other topic of conversation. The point here is to realize that this is not a culture of beliefs or non-believers. It's a land of seekers, where people are seeking, as kind of referred to by the video, on their own, in their own path. And as I think he really beautifully said at the end, with what he heard from, I think, in the book or his grandpa, essentially all are seeking the same goal ultimately, and it's, the same top of the mountain. It's just different ways to get there. So I love that, and I definitely resonate with that specific part of it. So I do want to make it clear that there really is no religion, I think. I'm pretty sure. I don't want to be the spokesperson for India and Hinduism itself. I know Hinduism has become a lot more dogmatic, especially in modern times. I would probably say due to the influence of the other cultures on the lands, whether it's the Islamic influences or even the Christian influences from the Europeans. Those are very belief-based background of peoples, and it's very dogmatic in nature. So that influence, I think, definitely has made Hinduism, in a way, dogmatic. And it's also interesting because of the fact that the land itself is so decentralized that it actually made it really hard for these people coming in to actually fully control it. Usually in other cultures, there's some sort of figurehead or some centralized power, and once they capture that person or this god or whatever it was, then they would have the whole thing, the whole group of people. But in this specific case, because there was none, it was really hard, and that's why India never really got fully conquered, which is something I'm grateful for. So that is just a little bit of a reflection from my side. It's really important just to realize that it's a land of seekers. Even the idea that everything has a soul, I think that's also slightly variation-based, because I know certain paths don't even consider that animals have souls, I think. But even that, again, that whole explicit statement of like we all have souls, from what I've been realizing on my journey in spirituality, it's also a very belief-based thing if you don't really experience it. There's no need to just believe in it, right? Now, we're not saying it's not possible that we don't have souls, but the key here is to explore and seek. That's it. Thank you so much for taking this time to hear my reflection on this video. I appreciate you taking this time. If you have any other video reaction requests, topics, or even guests you want to see me react with, comment down below. Also, open platform here. Share your views on what I've shared, what the video has shared. Comment down below. With that, make this a great day. Take a joyful and stay conscious. Ecstasy.